formula. So distance gone or distance that you have already traveled is 2 hours into 80 knot speed, which is 160 nautical miles. Distance which is left, or the distance which is remaining to travel, is equal to 2 hours into 80 knots, another 160 nautical miles. So this is the information that we have found out from these two pieces of information. Next, they have given us ADF, which is nothing but your relative bearing at 168, magnetic heading 090. With the help of these two, we will be able to find out magnetic bearing to the station, which is a combination of relative bearing and magnetic heading. Substituting the values, relative bearing is 168, heading is 090. So the total answer will be 168 plus 90, 258. Magnetic bearing to the station is 258. So magnetic bearing from the station will be 258 reciprocal, which will be 078 degrees. Now what is magnetic bearing to the station? It is nothing but your QDM. What is magnetic bearing from the station? It is QDR, right? So QDM, QDR. So now we have flown from one particular station for 160 miles and then we are proceeding to the next station. So let's draw that. There is a station 1. We are flying from station 1 to station 2. Okay. So from with respect to station 1, we have flown a distance of 160 nautical miles. We have flown a distance of 160 nautical miles. The remaining distance to go is another 160. Now from here we have found that a QDR, which is magnetic bearing from the station, nothing but the track from the station, is 078, is 078 degrees, right? So we are actually deviated from our correct track and we are located on track 078 degrees. So we are on this new track which is 078 because of some kind of drift. Maybe the winds are coming from the right hand side and they have pushed us to the left hand side. So now this is the track. Now if we have track 078, we have heading to be equal to 090. So as you can see, heading is more than track, and heading is more than track by what value? By a value of 12 degree. Okay. And when heading is more than track, we are experiencing what kind of drift? Port drift. We are experiencing port drift. Therefore, I am writing here 12 degree. 12-degree drift is what we are experiencing. Next. So let's join this. So let's find out with this initial triangle, we will be able to apply 1 in 60 rule formula and calculate the distance of track. So the distance of track will be equal to how much? So track error equals to distance of track divided by distance gone into 60. So track error is 12. Distance of track we do not know. Distance gone is another 160 into 60. Cross multiply will give you distance of track to be equal to 32 nautical miles. Will give you 32 nautical miles. Okay. Now, this if we continue flying along this track, we will deviate far away from our station number 2. So our first priority will be to correct that deviation. Okay, to stop that deviation. So we will fly parallel to this track. We will fly parallel to this track. Okay. But if we start flying parallel to this track, we will go again somewhere else. So we will have to make another right hand side correction so that we come back to a station number 2 directly. We come back to our station number 2 directly. So if this is 12 degree, this angle will also be equal to 12 degree because corresponding angles are equal. Okay, corresponding angles are equal. Now this is first part of the sum. The second part is we will find closing angle, which is this angle. So applying the same formula of closing angle, distance of track divided by distance gone into 60, we will get closing angle. Distance of track is 32, distance gone is again 160 into 60. So closing angle will be equal to another 12 degrees. Another 12 degrees. Okay. So now what is the total correction that you will have to make is 12 degrees to the right, you will fly parallel. Another 12 degrees to the right, you will converge at the station. So you will have to make a total correction of 24 degrees to the right hand side. Okay. Next, your aeroplane heading is what? It is 090. The heading of aeroplane is 090 degrees. Okay. So your aeroplane is somewhere here, let's say, on track 078, and the heading is 090. Now we will have to again, like I said, correct that track and come back to a station number 2. So the correction required, come back station number 2 to come back to station number 2 is equal to your initial heading plus 24-degree right turn. So initial heading is that is equal to 090 plus 24, which is equal to 114 degrees. So our new heading is 114 degrees. Okay. And next part of the question tells us to find the track from departure. That is, from this departure station to the final destination station, what is the angle of this track? What is the direction of that track? Now we know the direction of this track is 078. The difference between these two tracks is 12 degree. The track error is 12 degree. So track from the departure is equal to 078 plus 12, because this track from the departure is to the right hand side of 078. So 078 plus 12, which is equal to 090. So departure track is 090 degrees. Right? So this is how you do the sum. You first start with finding out the distances, then using the ADF and heading information, finding out track away from the station. When you know track you are flying and the heading you are flying, you will calculate drift. With the drift calculated, you will draw the first part of the triangle, which is this part, where you are flying away from the station. With that, you will be able to calculate distance off track. After finding that, you will pay attention to the next part of the triangle, and now you will be proceeding towards the next station. So you will have to know closing angle. Using track error and closing angle method, the total correction that is to be made is 24 degree to the right hand side to converge at station 2. Okay, so we have written that. So new heading is initial heading plus the correction required, and the track from departure, that is the second part of the question, is 090, which is your this track plus 12 degree 090. Question number 8. After flying 180 nautical miles on a heading of 200, so heading is 200, relative bearing is 186. Now when you have this two, you can find out magnetic bearing to the station, or QDM. which is magnetic heading, plus relative bearing, which is equal to 200 plus 186 is 386, or 386 minus 360 is how much? Is 26. So magnetic bearing to the station, or QDM, is 0 to 6. Is 0 to 6. So magnetic bearing from the station, or QDR, that is track away from the station, will be 0 to 6 plus 180, which is 206, which is 206 degrees. Okay. Now, when you have heading 00 and you have track is 206. Okay. Your heading is 200, track is 206. So when heading is less than track, what kind of drift are you experiencing? You are getting a starboard drift. You are getting starboard drift. So heading is 200, track is 206. Therefore, a starboard drift of how much? A starboard drift of 6 degree. A starboard drift of 6 degree. So let's draw the triangle first. You have station 1, station 2, okay. So currently your track is what? You are on a track of 206 degree. 206 initial track is 206 degrees. Track error is 6 degree to the right hand side. The distance traveled so far is equal to 180 nautical miles. It's 180 nautical miles. Now let's calculate distance off track. So distance off track will be 6 into 180 divided by 60, which is 18 nautical miles. Distance off track is 18 nautical miles. Okay. Now if you start, the heading of aircraft is 200. So I am drawing this aircraft here. Heading of aircraft is 200, and the track is what? Track is 206. So that's why I have drawn this heading to the left hand side of 206, because 200 is less than 206, therefore left of it. Now if we continue flying like this on track 206, we will keep flying away from our original track or intended track, and away from the station number 2. So our first step is always to stop that deviation, and therefore we will first fly parallel to this track. We will fly parallel. So we will make a left hand turn and fly parallel. After that we will again make another left hand turn to go directly towards the station. Now corresponding angles are equal. Okay, so if this is 6 degree, this angle will also be 6 degree. Now let's find this angle. To find this angle, we will have to know this angle, because alternate angles are equal. So if you know closing angle, you will be able to find out this angle. So closing angle equals to distance of track divided by distance remaining into 60. So distance of track is 18. Distance remaining is how much? 120. Answer is 9 degrees. So closing angle is 9 degree. So as a result, you will have to make a total left turn of 15 degrees. A total left turn of 15 degrees to come back to your station number 2. So what is the question again? Find the new heading to go to station. So new heading to go to station will be equal to, new heading will be equal to initial heading minus. Now why minus? Because we are going to make a left turn. When we go left, our directions decrease in value. So minus 15 degree. So initial heading is what? 200 minus 15 is 185 degrees. So new heading to the station is 185 degrees. So this is how you do this sum. Okay, that's it. So we were only told to find new heading to the station. So with this, we will stop here. We will do the remaining questions in the next video lecture. I hope you have understood these two important sums and you are now comfortable solving them. Practice these sums twice, thrice till you get comfortable and confident in them. Hit the like button if you have liked this lecture. Share this video with all your friends. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Thank you. All the best.